All right, good morning and welcome everyone to today's workbook lesson from A Course in Miracle. My name is Oliver Blue and I am your temporary guide on the side, and I'm loving it. Today's workbook lesson 114 from our third review session is what we will delve into today. It is a great day and an outstanding time to be alive. And to be alive is to be aware, and to be aware is to be conscious. And consciousness and awareness is an eternal state. So, even in this perceived time and space moment that we're in, we're actually in eternity. If you look at it from the larger picture, because eternity is always what present. Eternity is always uh, providing for any content of experience. And so we are here in what is called the month of May of the year 2022, which is time, space, form. But in reality, we are in eternity. And the time and the space that we seemingly are experiencing, the form that we seemingly are experiencing, is but a activity, an event within inside of eternity, within inside of consciousness, and inside of awareness. It's but an experience. It's not permanent. What is permanent, we must be a part of because we are having the experience within eternity. So, with that brief introduction, I say welcome to today's lesson. These lessons are being provided by Truly Foundation, a nonprofit organization that is truly devoted and dedicated to the sharing of advanced teaching. In this particular project, we are sharing from the teachings out of the spiritual book called A Course in Miracles. And this is indeed a course. And we are indeed on a journey. We have a purpose, and our purpose is the renewing of the mind, or mind training, or mind reversal, or bringing our mind into a state of being that aligns with our true reality. And we love to use the scriptural reference that says, "Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of the mind." And that's what we are engaged in. The transforming of our minds, or the transformation of our being, or the transformation of our perceiving and our thinking by the renewing of our mind, which is where these activities take place. So in lesson 114, we are going to look at and review lessons 97 and 98. And remember, in lesson 97 and 98, these were previous lessons that we went through. And today is just, again, a reminder of the ideas that were taught in lesson 97 and 98. And so what we want to do is, during the morning and during the evening of this day, we want to review these lessons for at least 5 minutes each. And then all during the day, we want to remind ourselves each hour of these ideas as we go through our day. This practice helps reinforce the idea within us and to help bring about the thought reversal that the course is aimed at. And so in workbook lesson 97, the idea was, I am. Okay, again, an Anytime we see an idea that starts out with the two words I am is always an indicator that it's a reference to what God created. We have learned that God is a creator, and what God creates is like unto himself. It cannot be any other way. And what God calls that which or denotes that which is created is I am. God is, therefore I am. Therefore, what God extends is I am as God is. And so today is lesson 97, I am spirit. This idea identifies us with our oneself. The two previous workbook lessons reviews that we've gone through identified us as what? As the oneself. It says, I am oneself. We're not divided self. We're not two or three different selves, but we are the one self. And when we say oneself, we mean holistically and all-encompassing oneself, including God. There is only one self. There is only one self, or one being, or one reality, or one existence. And in our Western communities, we generally denote that as, the one supreme being or God. In other cultures, it is referred to as, other things, as spirit or awareness or consciousness, depending on the culture, depending on the community. But I am oneself is the whole idea that there is only God. There's only one being. There's only one existence. There's only one reality. And that we, the one self that we are, is the one self that God is, because God can only create like unto himself. And we know that in the process of creation, as we understand it from the Course in Miracles, it is merely an extension. So if I took this mouse and I extended this mouse from one place to another, the same mouse that was in this place is in the other. So it's the same thing. It's one and the same. So in creation, our whole idea of creation is extension. God create, because God is the only thing there is. The only thing that can be extended is himself. And when he extends himself, he calls it creation, or the I am. So I am spirit is only an acknowledgement that identifies us as this one shared being that God is, or this sameness that God is. I know it is a big stretch for a lot of us to even fathom the reality that we are, number one, that we are gods, as the Bible says, and other spiritual references says, that we are gods, or in the God class, or in the same class as God. God made us in his image and likeness. That's kind of a reference to that. But in real truth, that we are the express self that God is, extended. And not these bodies that we think that we are a part of, or think that we are. But we're talking about this extension of a timeless and a formless self being that is everywhere present, that is boundless, that is dimensionless, that is without any end, or without any beginning. It is pure presence that is everywhere, and that has always been in existence and will always be in existence. I know this is a stretch for the natural mind to embrace this, because the natural mind It's just as it is defined, a natural mind. It knows the things of the nature. It knows only that of the natural things of that thing, that which consists of birth and death. That's what a natural mind knows. It only knows of its experiences. It only knows of its history. It's limited to its own experiences. But we are talking about a reality that is far beyond experience, a reality that needs no experience, that needs no content. Reality needs no evidence. Reality is an evidence within itself. It is a consciousness within itself that knoweth itself without any content of experience. Over in Jeremiah, God spoke and said that what before Jeremiah was formed in his mother's womb, God said he knew Jeremiah. Jeremiah, prior to being in his mother's womb, was what? Formless and timeless. That's the unlimited awareness that I'm talking about. This reality that provides for everything. this is this is where our identity comes from. And so when we make the statement in Workbook Lesson 97 that I am spirit, which is a declaration. I am spirit. I am, it says today's idea identifies us as the one self that we are. That there is no duality, there is no split, there is no two, but I am spirit. Spirit is one. And in the spirit of oneness, or in that spirit of unity, where there's only the one, therein lies our reality. Therein lies the reality of all things. All things are the one thing, and you are part of that oneness. And so it says, I am spirit. I am what God created. I am the extension of the cause, the one cause. I am an extension of the one cause. Therefore, I am not an effect of the cause. I am part of the cause. And that is a fact. It's a matter of fact that you are cause and not effect. That you are one with the divine reality. That you are the divine reality. And that the experience of being in a body, the experience of having experience and experiencing a body, and experiencing time and space with activities and events and sensations and perceptions and relationships. All of that is happening within this I am spirit. And I am spirit is the one that's providing the source and the capability of us having this experience as what we call human beings, having a human experience. And so I am the creation of God. And no body, no physical body can contain what I am. No physical body can contain the spirit that I am. We get the idea that our spirit is something that is separate from the body, and that our spirit is contained within the body. That's the traditional idea or what the natural mind can understand. But in reality, the natural, the body that we appear to be associated with cannot contain the I am spirit. Why? Because the I am spirit is beyond time and space, it's beyond form. So if we are spirit and we are beyond form, if we are beyond time and space, then where does the body place? Where is the body's place? How do we perceive the body? Do we perceive the body inside the spirit, or do we perceive the spirit inside the body? How do we perceive it? How do you perceive yourself? Do you perceive yourself as a body? And inside of you, somewhere, there's a Christ or there's a spirit. There's a part of you, there's a little ball inside of you that you say, oh, this is the real me, or this is the part of me that's part of God. Is that the perception? And in 99% of the cases, it is. But in reality, there is an awareness that of a body within our awareness and within our consciousness. And not that it is separate from us, but that it has its ability to be an experience only because of who we are as a timeless and formless being. In timelessness and formlessness is all the power that there is. The power to what? The power to create. The power to experience. Without that power, there is no experience. Without your ability to be aware or conscious, there can be no experience. This marker has no awareness or no consciousness in it. And so it has no but knowledge of experience. But you who are conscious and you who are awareness, you have the ability to have what? An experience with this marker. Like I'm having an experience of holding this marker in my hand. I'm experiencing this. Why? Only because of what? The nature of my reality is awareness and consciousness. So without consciousness, now without awareness, there can be no experience. So that has to be what your nature. That has to be who you are. That has to be what God is. That has to be what life is and reality is. And this consciousness and this awareness or this spirit, I am spirit, it is without any limitation. It is boundless. It is dimensionless. It is everywhere present. And this idea that we're introducing in Workbook Lesson 97, I am spirit, is basically a true statement of who you are. It's a declaration of the one self that we share. And it opposes any of the idea of any ideas about you as being some duality or split being, two selves. No, it makes a true statement about your identification. You are spirit, you are awareness, you are consciousness, which is timeless and formless and without any activity. Before there was any activity, there was consciousness and awareness, and you are that. And here, the Course is referring to it as spirit. You are spirit. And so it says, no body can contain my spirit. So the spirit is not something that's inside of a physical body. It says, nor impose on mean any limitation that God did not what? That God did not extend within the creation. So within our reality of being spirit is the reality of there being no limits to our reality, no limits to our uh, abilities, no limit to our experience. We are limitless being. We are without limit. We are eternal, as we've talked about before. We are these eternal selves. We are this eternal self, or this one self, which is an eternal self. Wow, words is hard. It's hard to find words to really give credence to what is being said here in this statement. In other words, who we are undefinable. It's not definable. It can't be defined by words because words are limiting. But it can point us, words can point us to the idea of the boundlessness, of the endlessness that we are, of the ultimate everything that we are, everything that you are. And I know again, I'll say it again, the natural mind cannot embrace this. This is what spiritually what understood, comparing what spiritual things to spiritual things. So it takes our consciousness, our unlimited consciousness, it takes our boundless awareness to really embrace this reality and experience this reality, comparing spiritual to spiritual. And so the body in and of itself can take on the perception of a spiritual, of having a spiritual nature. Why? Because that, if there any existence or reality to it at all, then it has to be the fact that what even the body itself, even everything in the room that you are sitting in, if you would peruse around the room and everything you see that's in what physical form, it is there because of the formless and the timeless. Everything you see in time and space is there because of what? Timelessness. Timelessness is the cause. Timelessness is the cause. And so the reality that I am spirit, the reality that you are spirit, is just a declaration of your identity as one with the Creator, one with the only source that there is. You are part and parcel of that. You're not separate from that. The tiny mad idea of separation that infiltrated and infected humanity to think otherwise is being healed. It's been laid to rest as we go through these workbook lessons. That is the miracle. The miracle is a guarantee by God that we will all come to this understanding. So in this moment that we are reviewing Workbook Lesson 97, which says, I am spirit, we fully embrace this reality in this moment, which is in eternity, as we started the lesson by saying. We embrace it. It is ours. We experience it now. We are spirit now. We are boundless now. We are eternal now. We are dimensionless now. We remain as God created us. We are spirit. As He is, so are we in this world. As the one thing is, so are we the one thing now in this world. And with that perception, everything becomes what? Purposeful. Everything becomes useful to bring about uh, an awareness, to bring about uh, a unification, to bring about a healing to all humanity, to bring about salvation, is what we call it. We can lump it all under the one subject of salvation. That's what salvation is really about. It has nothing to do with the future, your future state. It has nothing to do with judgment. It has nothing to do with whether you go to a heaven or go to a hell. That's not what salvation is about. Salvation is an awakening. It's a recognition of, it's an enlightenment. It's a recognition of the truth and an embracing and an acceptance of that truth. That's what true salvation is. It has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with the traditional religions that we have created or made. It has only to do with the truth that is true always. And that is you and I and all other 8 billion beings that are currently on the planet, all those that have come before us, all those that may have come after us. That all these expressions of love in form, of God in form, will come to experience the wonder and the oneness that they are. That is the purpose, to know thyself. That is the reason for our existence. Is to be the what? Expressed image of that which we are, to express our true nature. It's called glory. And we go from what? Glory to glory, because what? There is no divinity to the glory. The glory continues to what? Expand, because there's no end to it. There's no end to you. So in lesson 97, again, you are spirit. And that's something that you can't change. It's something I can't change. You are God. And it's something that I can't change. That's something you can't change. No matter how we grapple with that or go about to try to prove it or disprove it, it doesn't change. So when we come to a place of what? Just accepting what is, our suffering is what? Completely over. When we come to a place where the search is over and realize that what? We are the thing that we've been searching for, the suffering ends. The suffering ends. So the second part of our review today comes from Workbook Lesson 98. And Workbook Lesson 98, I love it. It says, the idea is, I will accept my part in God's plan for salvation. I will accept my part in God's plan for salvation. So there's a part in God's plan for salvation that we play. And today we embrace or accept that part. It says, what can my function or what can my purpose be? So we're talking about our function or our purpose in God's plan for salvation. And God's plan for salvation only occurs in the seeming time and space limitation that we find ourselves associated with through a body. That is where salvation is needed, because in heaven or in reality, there's no need for salvation because all is perfect. But in this idea or dream of separation, where we are having content and we're having experience, we're experiencing something that is form and that is within time. That's when limitation. So in the space of limitation that it appears to be, that is where salvation is needed. And so there is a purpose for us being here in this time-space appearance, and that is to accept God's plan to bring humanity back from a place of separation, from an idea of separation to an idea of oneness. And so it goes all the way back to, we have to go all the way back to eternity past, where this idea crept into the thinking of men. And there's a text in the text portion of the book, of Course in Miracles, in chapter 27. I think it's on page 586. Yeah, 585, 586. Yeah, page 586, in chapter 27. Chapter name is The Healing of the Dream. And under Roman number 8, The Hero of the Dream. In paragraph 6, near the bottom of the page in the blue book, it says, "Let us return the dream he gave away into the dreamer." The dream, talking about the dream of separation. The dream of separation comes from a dreamer. The dreamer is that one who at some point dreamed that there was that a separation occurred between man and between God, or between creator and creation. He said, "Let that return to the dreamer, who perceives the dream as separate from himself and done to him." And then here's sentence 2 in that paragraph that I'm trying to get to. It says, into eternity, okay, into eternity, which we say eternity is now, but it says into eternity where all is one. So eternity in oneness is oneness. Eternity is sameness. Eternity is truth. Eternity is reality. It says, so into eternity where all is one. So in eternity where all is one, that's unchangeable. There is nothing but one. There's nothing but oneness. That's why we know that, again, from this reality, that there can be no separation. From this reality, there is only God. So there's only us as God. So he said, into eternity, there crept a tiny mad idea. Now, how did a tiny mad idea creep into eternity? If eternity is unchangeable or unalterable. How? Well, that's the question that the ego will have you to ask, because it can't be answered. It's but another distraction from the truth. So it says, into eternity, which all is one, there crept a what? Tiny mad idea at which God's creation, or God's extension, or God's Son, which is a reference to what God created. It says, into eternity, where all is one, there crept a tiny mad idea that which God created remembered not to laugh. What did we remember not to laugh at? The tiny mad idea that separation was possible. Into eternity where all is one, where one could become multiple. It's impossible, but remember, eternity is changeless. That which is real is changeless, is unalterable. One can't become 10,000. Only in dreams of separation, not in reality. It says, in his forgetting to laugh, did the thought become a serious idea, and possible of both accomplishment and real effect. And so what we experience here in this time, in this world, in this form that we are experiencing, in these bodies, what we are experiencing is taking the idea of separation serious. to the point that we believe that it was accomplished and it has real effect, that this is what we're experiencing, that this is real, this experience that we're having as bodies, or as a body, and in a world of form. This is an effect of a dream of separation, of a dream of a tiny bad idea. And so it's within that dream that what salvation needs to be, what needs to be made available to bring things back to what? To bring the sleeping mind, the dreaming mind, back into the what? Back into the reality that there is no separation. And so it is in that environment that salvation is needed, which is a guarantee by God that all humanity what will come to know the truth and come back home, come back to what? Eternity, where all is one, which has not been what? Tainted, has not been broken, has not been affected. Eternity has always been one and will always be one. And any idea other than that would have to happen outside of eternity. And we know that there's nothing outside of eternity. So it would have to be like a dreamlike state. And so it says, we can function. What can our function be but to accept the truth, which has created us for what we are and will forever be. And what the truth is, and what our function is to accept this reality of our oneness, of our eternal state, of our changeless, unaltered state. That's what salvation is all about. That's what the function of salvation is all about. And that's our part in God's plan for of salvation, is for us to accept our purpose. For us to just accept the reality. And to dedicate ourselves to this. There is no other there is no other way. There is no other plan. There is no other idea that can get us back into the oneness that we are. Only God's plan for salvation exists and will work. Even though we try many other things. But only God's plan for salvation works. And that is just the embracing of the truth. There's really nothing to be done. It's just an idea to be undone, or an idea to what? To allow it to vanish back into the nothing that it is. So it speaks of our oneness. It speaks of our complete innocence without anything. Nothing has to change. Just our shift in our perception, which is what the miracle is. We are the innocent, eternal, one being, one self that God is, and it's always been that way. What we have experienced in time and space is just but a detour into darkness, a detour into dreams and illusions and vain imaginings. Your life, your reality has not changed. You are as you have always been and will always be. The suffering will end when you accept your purpose or your part in God's plan. Just merely accept what is, what the reality is. That has to do anything with religion, has nothing to do with what you've done, what you've experienced. It has nothing to do with what you have thought, what you have believed. It only has to do with reality. And you accepting the reality of who you are in this very moment. You need do nothing else. Because nothing else has undone what you already are. You are this one self, united with your creator, as our previous lesson said. And salvation is found in what? Your acceptance of that one self. It's a mere acceptation. It's a mere welcoming. It's a but a remembrance. It's but a recognition. You recognize that you are this changeless self. You are this peace, peaceful, undisturbed, happy, joyous, eternal self that is one with all the infinite intelligence there is, all the knowledge and the wisdom there is, all the understanding there is. You are that now. You are the evidence. And you are the what? Substance of that now. You are it. I am it. All humanity is it. It's not special for anyone. It is all encompassing. Everyone is it. And we are here to help wake up humanity to that truth. That's why we're doing these workbook lessons. So thank you. I'm going to end there. Just another review. Spend a time this morning and a time in this evening holding this idea, thinking about this idea, reviewing this idea. During your day, during each hour, bring this idea to remembrance. These two ideas to remembrance, that you are spirit. And what does that mean? You are spirit. And you accept your part, your purpose in God's plan for salvation, the awakening, the awareness, God's plan of bringing us back into the direct experience of our true nature. Thank you so much. This has been great, and we'll see you on our next review lesson 115. But until then, be yourself. And yourself is cause. Yourself is purpose. Be the light of the world. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.